One does not simply walk into Mordor.
The Land of Shadow.
Welcome everyone. Today's Shadowcast is our breakdown of all things evil in Episode 7, The Eye. This episode, to me, is transitional, taking us from the catastrophic conclusion of Episode 6, the explosion of Mount Doom, to the setup for the season finale. The title of this week's episode is The Eye. However, I don't think it is the eye of Sauron that is being referenced here. To me, it's more the eyes of the Southland, the people of the Southland, bearing witness to the changes that have taken place. Today, we will be exploring the Goths of the Grove, the appearance of the Balrog, the question of who is Sauron, and finally, the naming of Mordor. So, if you guys are ready to explore this strange new land in Episode 7, let's cast off our orc cloaks and walk free under the shadow.
In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie.
Before we delve into all that is evil, let's have a quick recap of the episode. In the aftermath of the eruption of Orodruin, the Southlands have dramatically changed. We begin with the eye of Galadriel as she awakens to smoke and ash. Galadriel finds Theo and they make for the camp of the Númenóreans. They encounter one of my favorite orcs who we have seen in other episodes. They also discuss the ways of a warrior, and we get our first mention of Celeborn. The Queen Regent is blinded when a building collapses in fire, and it appears that Isildur is crushed and killed. Of course, we know he isn't, but while leading the survivors to the mountain camp, Elendil sees Isildur's horse and worries for his son. They all meet at the Númenórean camp. Theo finds his mother, Bronwyn, and Elendil releases Isildur's horse to find him if he can. This moment brings to mind other horses in Middle-earth. Bill the Pony, Shadowfax, and from the films, Brago, who saved Aragorn. Tolkien had a place in his heart for the noble steed. Before they set sail, the queen vows to return to Middle-earth in vengeance, in a powerful scene with Galadriel, Bronwyn, and Elendil. Elendil is full of grief for his son. However, it will likely be Ar-Pharazôn who returns with an army of Númenóreans, if they stick with canon. Finally, we see Halbrand, alive but wounded. Galadriel says he needs elvish medicine, and they mount horses and ride off together, presumably toward Eregion. The Southlanders cheer on their king. But is this Sauron in disguise? I'll get back to Halbrand in a moment. Now on to Kzadum. Elrond makes a plea to King Durin III, who refuses the elves access to the Mithril. Durin IV is outraged, but in the end bows to his command. Elrond and Durin share an emotional goodbye, and Elrond returns his lump of Mithril. He places it on the table, and as he walks away, it heals the golden leaf. Durin shouts for Elrond, and we see them next down in the mines. I have to say it is nice to see a filthy elf for once. They discover a massive vein of mithril, and unfortunately, Durin III discovers them. Elrond is cast from Moria, and the two Durins have it out. They share hard words in a rift that seems impossible to mend. The king tells the dwarves to seal up the shaft of Mithril. He casts down the leaf into the hole before they seal it up, and we see it drift slowly down through the shaft until it lands at the very bottom and catches fire. Then we see the Balrog, which I will get back to later. Finally, we follow the Harfoots, who come to the grove and find that the eruption of Mount Doom has destroyed most of the apple trees. The stranger uses his power to try and heal one of the trees. He appears to fail, and Sadak tells him to go and find the big people who live beyond the Greenwood, and gives him the star map. The next morning, the entire grove of trees is healed and filled with apples. Nori gives the stranger an apple, and he departs to the Greenwood. Now, let's talk about all the evil we see in this episode. Let's begin with the Goths, the cultists who worship Morgoth. The three women, the dweller, the nomad, and the ascetic, find the tree healed by the stranger. The dweller is able to sense where he has gone, and they begin to go after him. Nori tries to intervene and tells them he went a different way. She turns, pointing, and when she looks back, they are gone. It's a visual gimmick, but it works, and it sort of gives the Goths a very spooky vibe. Next, we see them looming over Nori, and her father comes to her rescue, wielding a torch. The dweller clamps onto the flame and extinguishes it with her hand. She then blows on it, and every one of the Harfoot's wagons bursts into flame. Very evil and very cool. The dweller is definitely a necromancer of dark sorcery. We know from canon that Sauron created this religion based on the idea that the Valar have lied to the men of Númenor, that Eru Ivatar is not the supreme deity of Arda, that only Morgoth can deliver men from death. He uses this cult of Morgoth to sway the people of Númenor to attack Arda. Sauron is definitely controlling these Goths. My question is, why are they trying to find the stranger? Is it to give aid or to destroy him? I believe we can safely say that the stranger is one of the Maiar. But is he one of the Istari, such as Gandalf, or is he Sauron, sent back by the Valar as Marion in his innocent form to choose either good or evil? Perhaps this mystery will be solved in the last episode. I am still on the fence with Halbrand as Sauron. The showrunners keep dropping clues that he might be Sauron, but it may be to throw us off the scent. Halbrand is heading for Eregion, which would set him up to be Annatar, the Lord of Gifts, and we know he has a talent as a smithy. So, is he going to be revealed as Sauron? Just can't say for sure either way at this point. Now, let's talk the Balrog. I think the writers of the show are doing what Jackson did in the Hobbit films, which was to take disparate canon elements and tie them all together to connect the Hobbit films to the Lord of the Rings films. Smaug, Thorin and the Dwarves, the Arkenstone, Bilbo finding the ring, Azog and Bog, Dol Guldur and the Battle of Erebor. All of these story threads were not all directly connected as they are in the Hobbit trilogy. In the Rings of Power, they are connecting the discovery of Mithril, the fading of the elves from Middle-earth, the rise of Sauron and the forging of the rings, the fall of Numenor, the fall of Moria, and the awakening of the Balrog. They have tied together all of these story threads for an easily digestible story. Is it going to work? We'll just have to wait and see. The episode ends with Adar, the orcs, and the naming of Mordor. I have to say it was a hokey way to bestow the name on the land of shadow. I'm not sure why they did it this way. We see Adar telling the orcs to cast off their cloaks. They need them no more.
This is our land now. This is our home.
Hail Adar, Lord of the Southlands.
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 No. That is the name of a place that no longer exists.
What shall we call it instead, Lord Father?
I think they should have left it with Adar looking up at Mount Doom and just left it there. Let the name evolve throughout the story. I thought it would be based on the words of Galadriel when she spoke with Adar. She called him one of the Moriandor, the children of darkness.
I heard stories of elves taken by Morgoth. Tortured. Twisted. Made into a new and ruined form of life. You are one of them, are you not? The Moriandor. The Sons of the Dark. The first orcs.
Even though this name is not canon, it would have made more sense for Galadriel or one of the elves to have named the Black Land Mordor based on the name Moriandor. But instead, they plastered the name on the screen. It just seemed trite to me. I feel like this was done for those in the audience with only a passing knowledge of Middle-earth, to make sure they understand that this is indeed Mordor from the Lord of the Rings. It's not a choice I would have made. Well, that wraps it up for all that is evil in this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Okay, everyone, we're on to the last episode of Season 1, and it's really going to be hard to top the explosion of Mount Doom that we saw in Episode 6. Let's hope it's the reveal of Sauron in the season finale. If you like the content of this video, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and clang that bell on the way out. So until next time, let's travel together on the path of the Morgai under the shadow of the Ethel Doeth.